The countdown started. Lenny did indeed go into the tunnel. But he immediately used a vent to access the Opera House basement, which is where the underground core of the Oratrice is stored. Once he reached that area, he heard a voice in what should have been an empty room. Since he felt something was amiss, he returned immediately. The crime scene had already developed by the time he reached the tunnel again, and finally he reached the surface, and that was when the accident happened from his point of view. Therefore, he's innocent! Paimon did it! Paimon actually managed to say all that!
In other words, you believe that he knew nothing.
That's right!
My reasoning?
If that's the case, then if Cowell hadn't entered the tunnel, who was the entire setup meant to kill? Assuming that what you say is true, Lenny only needed to kidnap the young girl to cause a new disappearance case. What would the point of killing someone on stage be?
Oh, they have a point.
That's right, you tell him! Oh, well, your denial is very strident, I'll give you that. But what proof do you have to back your claims? Of course I do. If he had been in the mad... You're saying that he wasn't?
Are you sure we don't need to give this more thought? Are you sure we don't need to give this more thought? That's right! Lenny wasn't in the box or in the tunnel. That's why he didn't hear anything strange during the performance. This means that when the crime happened, Lenny had already entered the basement. The same clue you used to disprove his alibi has now become the best proof! How do you like that?
Well played. To think you'd use such logic. Well then, if it wasn't Lenny who committed the crimes, then who was it?
The deceased's name is Cowell, Lenny's assistant. Halsey is the missing person and an ordinary audience. Could there have been a third person? The deceased's name is Cowell.
Huh? That can't be right. The killer was, in fact,
What I must do next is recreate the truth. What Cowell did, and how he went from wood... The deceased's name is Cowell. The sound we heard may have come from a clash, but it would have been tough for both people to fit into that vent. They would likely have... The sound we heard may have come from a clash. No one entered or left the Halsey's clothing was in the tunnel, so there must... The sound we heard may have come from a Linny was not in the tunnel at that moment. No one entered or left the The sound we heard may have come from a The deceased's name is Cowell, Linny's assistant. It would have been tough for both people to... Linny was not in the tunnel at that moment. Halsey's clothing was in the tunnel. No one entered or left the
What's wrong, Traveler? Are you still having trouble?
Look, since we're at a dead end, why not consider a different track? Just like the trick as it transpired.
If only we knew how Halsey disappeared.
Well, that would be nice, but the tunnel only has 3... And it's not like this is a magic trick where you can just make a real live person...
Excuse my interrupt.
If the defense is unable to make further effective arguments, we will move on to the next stage of the trial.
Linny was not in the tunnel at that moment, which gave our criminal ample time. The sound we heard may have come from a clash between... The deceased's name is Cowell. It would have been tough for both people to fit into that... No one entered or left the... The vase was not broken by...
Paimon gets it! It all comes together if Halsey disappeared instead... Lynette escaped from the water tank, vanishing gradually and leaving... If there's a similar method...
Oh, just a moment. How could a person ever be transformed into water? This is reality. Must we really? Magic tricks are ultimate.
Even so, I trust the travelers. The truth must be out there somewhere. Perhaps some new line of reasoning may open if we try to gather all the focal points that don't make sense. Since Cal was the deceased, we haven't placed much attention on him. But given that we aren't making much progress with...
People really do come up with all sorts of harebrained schemes when at the end of their rope.
Nevertheless, I believe that this is a reasonable request on the part of an attorney. Since the trial does indeed appear to be at an impasse, I believe that additional evidence may help us. Guards, please step into the lounge and examine...
We are still examining the items, but we have already made critical progress. We discovered several test tubes of fluid within Cowell's baggage. The notebook in his backpack claims that these fluids are
The primordial sea.
The note's contents also indicate that Cowell belonged to an organization that sells illegal drugs, and that the notebook has many entries concerning safe usage. One of these tubes was labeled Opera Epiclese, along with yesterday's date. The notes also state that these dissolution properties work exclusively. As such, we believe that the defense...
You've got to be kidding! People dissolving into what?
Could something so ridiculous actually be true?
Wait a moment. This reminds me of a certain prophecy, but it's just a coincidence, isn't it?
If people can become water, does that mean that the water tank's real use was as a means to hide water stains? Wait just a minute. Could that mean... You two, with me, quick!
Demoiselle, wait! What about your partners?
Let's go. Just...
Order! Order! It is undeniable. Still, let us assume that these clues are indeed authentic. Guards, please continue examining the items. Mr. Linney, it appears your hypothesis is supported.
Of course. If we uphold this hypothesis,
Right! Like the metal hook! That one didn't make sense at all. Let's think about this. Cowell's methods must have something to do with that water from the primordial sea.
The water from the primordial sea should already have been prepped. Now it seems like the hook rope was not meant for another magic trick, but was instead some form of triggering mechanism. Lynette was in the magic box on stage the entire time. The deceased's name is Cowell. The rope that held the water tank up was lit. Lynette was in the magic box on stage the entire time. I remember there was some... Lynette was in the magic box on stage the entire time. Did she have something to do with this? The rope that held the water tank... The water from the primordial sea should all... Lynette was in the magic box on stage. The water from the primordial sea should already... Now it seems like the hook rope was not... The deceased's name is Cowell. I remember there was some... Lynette was in the magic box. The deceased's name is Cowell, Linny's assistant. He would have been able to tamper... The rope that held the water tank up was lit... The water from the primordial sea should all... The deceased's name is Cowell. I remember there was some... The water from the primordial sea... Lynette was in the magic box on stage the entire... The water from the primordial sea... Now it seems like the hook rope was not meant... Lynette was in the magic box... The deceased's name is Cowell. The rope that held the water tank up was lit... The water from the primordial sea... The deceased's name is Cowell. Now it seems like the hook rope was not meant... The water from the primordial... I remember there was something...
Ahem! It's aced in the original plan. When the magic box containing Halsey was lowered, the metal hook would retract gradually and pierce the balloon at the top of the box. When the balloon attached to the box afterward, Cowl would enter. But he encountered something unexpected.
Huh. That does make sense.
That actually links together.
Oh dear, what do I do? Even I think they sound convincing now. Have I falsely accused an innocent person?
Now, it seems like the only point of his notes mentioned he had an
On that note, the guards have... I shall now invite him on stage to...
Thank you, Your Honor. We were just... and we found an identical...
What?
That can't be. Oh, does this not clear all my dear citizens? Linny did not need to take part in the dissolution, having made modifications to the bat upon his return. Ultimately, he knocked now, as much as I regret having come to such a Am I right?
We've used up all the evidence we collected. Is this the end of the road?
Oh no! Paimon can't think. Seems using the water as new evidence was too good a move. Why did this have to happen now?
I think we've all seen enough now. I believe this is indeed the... Now then, my good, noble...
Excuse me, everyone, but I must interject.
Miss, I must ask you not to shout, and to...
Oh, come on. Don't be hasty. I have a good reason for interrupting, you know. Now, I'll show you an amazing trick. What?
No offense, miss, but...
Come on now, don't be silly. Magic is all about misdirection, isn't it? It often conceals the truth but once everyone believes the illusion. Can't magic reveal the truth to them and wouldn't such a trick? Come on, Linny and Lynette. But, as the magic makers and stars of the show...
I understand.
And voila!
Sorry for the interruption.
Wait, isn't that Halsey? So the whole thing about people dissolving wasn't true after all?
To be clear, I'm only here because this person told me that if I testified, the merit of doing so would lessen my sentence. I was hiding outside this room listening to the proceeding. I was just feeling happy that no one had noticed.
That'll teach you to...
Where should I begin?
What?
Firstly, my name isn't Halsey. It's Lillian, and I'm originally from Mondstadt. I heard that Linny's show was gonna be a real thriller. That's how I make a living. I steal stuff here and there. But I was noticed at the harbor a few days ago.
Hey, no wonder you look Liddy even mentioned that you were pretty skilled.
Well, and I thought that would have been... He even mentioned the Fortress of Meripede. That's a prison, isn't it? So you can imagine how shocked I was. So I played along with the show. I wasn't going to take that lying down. There was nowhere to run from there, though. So I had to change my clothes, and I slipped out after the first guard arrived at the scene.
Can a person even hide in there?
But I swear, I didn't know that the water tank would fall down. Had I known that, I wouldn't have put him in the
Well, that makes everything pretty clear now, doesn't it?
This time, we need to tell the entire story. Hmm. 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 See. The strange sound. The flower vase was not broken to cover anything. Liliane was afraid that she would be recognized if she left, so she changed clothes and hid, biding her time.
And it's Ace Detective Paimon time! Having been selected out of the blue, her panic only intensified after she entered the... Hearing the commotion, Cowl looked. He did not know that Liliane was not from Fontaine, but what mistakenly believing that the water from the primordial sea... The two broke the flower vase with no way of escaping. She... that she would have to go...
She had already become desperately hungry by the time we were chatting over macarons. So, she swiped 2 of them right under our noses.
At this point, all the events that...
Ah, so...
Bravo!
Now then, Lady Farina, do you wish to speak against the defense's statements? Please answer the question, Lady Farina. Also, if I may add, the trial has not yet ended. As such, I request that the prosecution not leave the room before the proceedings have concluded.
What? Are you reading my mind now? No. I have no further argument.
Wow! Look at that! She's like a deflated balloon now!
If there are no objections, then as the Chief Justice of Fontaine, the actual perpetrator of the serial disappearances, Cowl, selected, with some modifications to the selector, to cover up any evidence while committing the deed. He also tampered with the rope suspending the water tank, using the fireworks at the end of the performance to cause the tank to drop and hide the watermarks. He poured the water from the primordials. Finally, he passed the prepared hook on a rope through the gap in the magic box's door when bringing the young woman. When the magic trick officially began, the box containing the woman was lowered into the tunnel, tightening the hook rope and bursting the balloon containing the water. If all had gone to plan, the young woman would be dissolved at this time. However, Liliane was not from Fontaine, and thus fled the box with a loud noise. Realizing that there was trouble, Cowl entered the tunnel and met Liliane, thinking that the waters had not yet taken effect. However, his opponent was more capable than he thought, and he was overcome, knocked unconscious, and placed into the magic box. And Liliane, according to her own statements, then changed clothes and hid. As for Linny, he was in the underground structures within the Opera House, and was thus ignorant of these. From this reconstruction of events, we can conclude that Linny, the accused, is in fact innocent.
Hooray, Linny and Lynette!
While there is much in Linny and Liliane's conduct, this case at least can be handed over to the As such, Linny and Lynette are officially declared not guilty.
Victory for Ace Detective Paimon!
Great work, partners.
Thank you all. Thank you so much.
Next, I think we deserve an... How did you find the water from the primordial...
Right! Your discovery caused me to make a serious mistake.
I suspect that the accomplice mentioned in Cowell's notes... I'm sure you know what you must do to lessen...
Speak quickly! Unless you want to earn yourself...
I was just following orders. We were supposed to place blame for the serial disappearances onto Linny.
And now that your plan has fallen through, and the secrets of the... Therefore, you would be wise to tell everything you know and seek the...
Yes! Our boss discovered that the water can cause people. It can also be made into a potion. We've been in this business.
And now he can no longer talk.
Such ruthlessness.
An outrageous act. All present, please submit to inspection immediately.
So, we're just going back now? That's true.
Traveler, Paimon! Please wait.
Lenny.
I know you may not want to speak to me right now, but still. Let me thank you again for defending me to the end, even after you learned that I'm a member of the Fatui. I guess. But I didn't approach you with any ulterior motives or ill intent. I've spoken to you as myself. As for why I'm a Fatus, it's because that was how Father, who you might know as the Knave, approached recruiting us back then.
The Knave? The one who controls the House of the Hearth?
That's right. And back when our parents first died, Lynette and I, to survive, I took my sister through several streets. To my surprise, before long, and...
So you went from orphans to nobility?
That was how we felt at first, too. But I gradually discovered that while we were called, he would constantly take me...
That doesn't seem too bad either.
It took a while for me to realize. After one particular performance at a banquet, I discovered that Lynette... I waited a long time after we returned home, but she did not come back. I went to that noble's bedroom and asked him about her whereabouts. The answer he gave me was...
Oh no. So... But wouldn't Fontaine's laws deal with such people?
As far as outsiders are concerned, this is a relationship akin... I managed to ferret out the... All I saw was the moonlit ground.
So... she...
That's right. She had rescued my sister before she could come to... Father, I mean, the House of the Hearth welcomes you. I was hesitant to trust her, but she was also quick...
Oh, so that's how the two of you joined the House of the Hearth.
She has her own... She has gained permission from the Tsaritsa to first use the Gnosis's power when she obtains it.
So, she believes...
That's right. The whole House of the Hearth is... Today's case has also proved everyone at Hotel Bouffe did to us orphans.
So, from small deeds like distributing magic pockets to huge schemes like...
It's all right. I understand. I just hope you can understand that if you should need anything at all in the future, feel free to find me. I will do my best to help you, as plain Linny.
Bye, Linny!
Hey there! What was with the disappearing act you pulled right as the trial ended?
Were you looking for it?
Well, this whole thing isn't exactly over, is it? I do feel that we're getting closer to solving the serial Huh? What's wrong, my dear partner?
Besides, are you sure we're the ones who can crack a case? And given that there's new evidence for...
Ah, I see. Sorry. I might have been too presumptuous.
Don't say that, Navia.
Aw, and we were having so much fun investigating with you, too. It was like having new waters flowing into... Sorry about... Wait, shall we have a fair...
Huh? Do we really need to get...
Well, I'd just like to have a Anyway, it would just be a meal, so it shouldn't take up too much of your...
You don't have to twist Paimon's arm. If Boss Navi is treating, count Paimon in!
Oh, wonderful. In that case...
All